Alright, hey guys, today we matched Jedi Assassin, so we're not pushing for a win this war. So what I wanted to do this war was just stay in some difficult fights with Rintrah, to see how he worked in fights that weren't basic. Because one of Rintrah's big weaknesses that I've found is either when the opponent's gaining a lot of power or when you're gaining a lot of power, fights become very hard to keep control of. So I wanted to get comfortable with these fights that get out of hand, and then at the end of this war, I'm taking a Doom boss with Nick Fury, so yeah, it should be a pretty fun war. But yeah, to get it started, we're taking this Terrax on node 13 with Rintrah. This is basically a perfect matchup for Rintrah. It's about as easy as it gets for him. It's just basically perfect for him, and yeah, you'll see what I mean by this. We're not even going to pay attention to Rockfield, we're just going in, and yeah, the fight's about to be over pretty soon, which is ridiculous, but yeah, we get our root going right here, and then we do a combo, and we do an L2, and he is just dead, and yeah, that's what happens when Rintrah's in a perfect matchup, he just destroys. So next up we have a Galan. This fight went pretty poorly for a number of reasons, but one of the big things is the Rich Get Richer gave me too much power to go for the nuke cycle. And for this fight, it's definitely, fighting Galan, you definitely want to lean into the nuke cycle a little bit more in general. It helps a lot to do that. But yeah, he throws his L1 here, and at this point it's going to be basically impossible to get the nuke cycle going, which is fine. We're just going to use the root from that. We get a bunch of ruptures up, so those ruptures still doing good damage. Our L3 is going to do decent damage, so not the end of the world. It's just going to be a longer fight because we got that extra power, and we'll get some healing off these L3s as well, which don't mind at all. So yeah, and now Rich Get Richer is still feeding me power, because yeah, which is just gonna, you see what I mean by when you get power gain, it's really hard to do the nuke cycle. And now he has 4 Fury buffs, because he launched that L1 when Neutralize was down, which is not great. That's what you want to avoid with Galan. But it's not the end of the world. If we can knock him down with some specials, we'll be fine. But here, he goes into Harvest, and we eat a combo, because, yeah, I'm bad. And, it's not the end of the world. It's pretty fine at the end of the day. We eat the Harvest. It's not too bad. We take some damage, but it's Rintrah. We'll be able to finish this fight up, and yeah, we get another L3 going. We're gonna heal back some health, and then Root's going, and now we have him into the corner. Finally, we're gonna be able to get Root going, and for some reason I didn't end my combo with a light there. Probably should have. And yeah, here I finally have Root really going, and we get 43 ruptures, and then this crits, and nothing is surviving that. And yeah, very good option for it, even though it did get out of hand. I don't think there's any risk of dying here. And yeah, here's this Super Skrull. This is the fight that's pretty sketch. Now the issue is you have to actually hit your opponent to get the Neutralize up. So oftentimes Skrull is either going to get a Fury from hitting into your block, or you're gonna mess up like that, and that can happen, which is not ideal. And this gives this gives Skrull just too much power, really. And yeah, here at this point, I am just trying to throw my L2 to try and nuke the fight. I know I can eat this L3 because it's Rintrah, but that happens, and yeah, I threw that L2 at a very bad time. If I had thrown that a little bit earlier, this fight would have been a lot easier. But yeah, like I said, it's Rintrah. I wasn't too worried about eating this L3. I knew I could survive it. And at this point, just trying to get back into the fight a bit. And here, I'm an idiot and Dex and eat one of the hits of that L2, which is not great again. So at this point, I am going to purposely throw my L3. But then I lose out on all the mystical charges anyway, so I'm going to go ahead, hit him a few times to just build those mystic charges back. And yeah, now you've got Falter to worry about, and the Root scared me here, so I didn't punish in the middle of his special, which was dumb. and that happens, which was just bad. I mean, I just made mistakes there. Of course, it's a pretty difficult matchup, so I mean, I was kind of panicking here, but yeah, I mean, pretty bad gameplay. But anyway, we get our L3 going. We heal back up a good amount, and yeah, I mean, we're chilling. We want to get the special route going. I probably should have activated the special route there. I don't really know why I didn't, because now he's getting buffs because he got out of the corner, which is annoying. And yeah, he parries me, but we're stun immune, of course, because it's Rintrah, so not the end of the world or anything. And yeah, here I am trying to get my Mystic Charges back for my L3 again. Yeah, it's really, really difficult to line up an L2 nuke cycle on a fight like this when there's so much power gain, especially with the aspect of evolution, because it means if that fight goes on longer, it's going to be even more power gain, and yeah. But you can see what I mean with Rintrah just being absurdly tanky. And I was not boosted at all here. No invul, no nothing. Just no boost at all. And Rintrah's still this tanky, which is ridiculous. I mean, this is like Doom level of tankiness, which is just crazy. I mean, he should not be that tanky. And yeah, we finally get an L2 going to end the fight. Probably could have had that much, much earlier, but yeah. And now here we have a 51 Sersi with Rintrah, and this is one that's kind of on the border of whether or not I would assign it. It's definitely harder than most fights with Rintrah, but this one isn't too scary to me. The thing that makes it hard is you're going to get a lot of power again, so it's really hard to line up the L2 cycle. And I was trying to avoid hitting too much, because I didn't want to get too much power, and then I realized it just didn't matter, and I was going to go for my L3 anyway. And the second thing is, the second hit of L2's Rintrah is actually, the second hit of Rintrah's L2 is actually energy, so it'll cause some healing. It's only 60% because it's an energy attack instead of a debuff, but it's still quite a bit of healing, and it's going to make this fight pretty long, so even when you're able to line up the nuke cycle, I mean, it's still going to be a pretty difficult fight. I did have an invuln popped on for this. As you can see, here I'm going for lining up a nuke cycle, and I mean, we're doing a decent job of it. We got 22 ruptures there. It crits, does 124k, and my Mystic Power back just gave me an L2 immediately back. And I think Mystic Power backs actually hurt me a little bit here. Because as you can see, that L2 is just not going to do anything. But yeah, I mean, he counters most of the abilities here. He doesn't counter Conflictor, but you don't have to worry about keeping control combos. He can take advantage of White Mag's pre-fight, and he's definitely not going to time out. Like, he's not going to be quick, but he's definitely not going to time out here. So, I mean, if you need to assign Rintrah here, he can definitely safely take this fight, but I would personally lean to sending someone like Hood before I send to Rintrah. Just because you don't really get control of the fight, but the nice thing about Rintrah, if you are ending up sending him for this, he is just super tanky, so even without control of the fight, there's a little risk to actually dying, which is very nice, of course. You can eat combos and shit for days, and yeah. I mean, now we're going to go for the nuke cycle in the corner. We're just going to go for this. We're going to eat some hits on purpose to get all those ruptures, and then the L2 is just going to kill, and yeah, we're out of there. And yeah, I mean, now for my final fight of the war, my Doom boss, the thumbnail, quote-unquote, hardest fight on the war map, it's 100% a Nick Fury fight. I've seen some other good fights here. Omega Sentinel does really well, but personally, I think Doom is just by far the safest, because not only do you get a really simple fight, and it's fairly quick. Omega Sentinel is quicker than Doom. For this fight, I think Omega Sentinel took like a minute 50 seconds. But I think Doom's much safer because he gets that second life. And having that second life safety net to fall back on is just massive. I mean, if you die with that second life against a fight like this, you've made some pretty darn big mistakes that are going to kill you using basically anyone. So yeah, I think Nick Fury is the best option for this fight. He's not the quickest, but he is probably the safest. Omega Sentinel does have the advantage of being Nullify immune, but as you'll see in this fight, not having the Nullify immunity I don't think is a big deal by any means. It's just a Doom, and it's not on Power Snack or anything, so him nullifying you does not matter to P1. And yeah, I mean, as long as you know what to do against Doom, you know how to fight Doom. This fight's a pretty basic Doom fight. It's just a little bit longer than most nodes. And yeah. And not much I can really say about this fight. I had half Sui's on for this. I think versus boss node, half Sui's is the best. So you don't get the poison constantly draining you, but you still get the quick fight with Sui's. And you're not throwing any specials here, so I mean, the bleed half Sui's that are going to take some damage from you, but then give you an extra 30% damage. Definitely 100% worth it. And I mean, yeah, this fight's just going down smoothly. Not much I can really say about it. I mean, it's just Nick Fury doing Nick Fury things, really. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think I had some pretty fun fights with Doom. I mean, pretty fun fights with Nick Fury against Doom, and using all of those fights with my new R4 Rintrah was pretty fun. So yeah, I mean, pretty excited to be using R4 Rintrah in War more. I just recently R4'd him at the start of the season with the OP rewards, and I fucking love him, man. So much fun. Super fun champ. I do think he's a little bit too tanky, and he may end up being nerfed, but I mean, I fucking love him, man.